Okay, so in today's video about QNT, I want to check out this part of the price action and see what is happening in terms of Elliott Waves, classic TA, and also some indicators. And I'm going to tell you, sure, this can get ugly, but there are some very solid bullish signs in here suggesting probably this is going to be our last move on the downside, and after it's over in quant we are going to get a very strong bounce back. So with that said, hi everyone, welcome back. I hope you're having a great time with your family and loved ones. And first things first, I need to tell you that today I'm going to upload a market update video for my members and talk about Bitcoin and the possible scenarios for the near future for BTC and also altcoins. So if you want to have access to those informations, you can become a member and ask me anything you want. If you don't want to, that's absolutely fine. Let's get on with our video and see what is happening. So if you remember, the last time that we talked about QNT, we were around these areas and I was saying, well, okay, this can be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up, and what we want to see after a 5 up is a corrective movement on the downside. And I said, well, okay, if we get a choppy move down, it's not going to be a bad sign at all. Now, we did get a move down, but this was not choppy by any means. And also in this move, we actually took the lowest low down here about, let's say, $104.50. So what is going to be our possible next move for QNT? Well, you see, in the short term, I would like to suggest maybe wait a bit more and see in this move, are we also going to take this low about $102 or not? If we take it, at that point, we can say, look, maybe this is like an A, B, C structure, followed by that. We talked about this thing so many times. This is indeed an A, B, C down. And assuming that this move up starting from here and ending to about this area is a 5 wave, well, okay, it's probably going to be overall another higher degree, an A, B, C flat structure. And from here in QNT, we can continue our move down in order to take also this low down here about, let's say, $94.50. So in the short term, things, fair enough, can get a bit ugly. However, for a couple of very important reasons, I believe in quant, this is probably going to be our last move on the downside, and after it's over, we are going to have a huge bounce back and start the next phase of the bull run. So let's talk about them one by one. First things first, let's see what is happening in Elliott Waves. You see, in terms of Elliott Waves, if you want to argue, for example, we're gonna have our final bottom around here. Maybe this is like a very important support, and let's say overall you want to be bullish, then okay, in any chart, you must be able to find a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up. This specific example is a normal 5 wave. Rules for it are, we should not have overlapping of the waves between wave 2 and 4 and in any kind of impulse. Wave 3 should not be the smallest wave, and for our sub waves, you know it if you are a regular viewer, and if you are wondering why am I talking about this thing in every single video, that's because these days about 80% of you guys are new viewers. So I feel like in order for me to be able to make my point properly and you understand what I'm talking about, I should explain what I'm doing maybe in more details. Now, for wave 2 and 4, we can have different possibilities. Let's say ABC into 4 and a WXY into wave 2. So basically, if we can find this whole move on the upside with all the sub waves, we are allowed to be bullish on any chart. Let's go in here and see what is going on. So we talked about this possibility so many times. Let's hide everything. Okay, in my opinion, there's a very high chance that from the lowest low down here about $49.50, we are having a 5 wave up, and followed by that, this is a corrective movement on the downside. And from here to about the highest high, about, let's say, $175, I'm thinking this is definitely 5 wave on the upside. And just to prove it to you, let's go on 30-minute chart and do a very quick count. So we've talked about these moves on the upside so many times. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up with all the sub waves. Let's actually delete them so you can see the candles a bit better, into a larger degree wave 1, followed by that an A, B, C in form of an expanded flat into wave 2. This is 1, this is 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up into wave 3, correction for 4, and we can say this is another move on the upside into our wave 5 to about here, into this larger degree wave 3, followed by that we said this might be a corrective movement, and it is actually a choppy move down, which is a very important characteristic of, you know what, a correction structure, potentially into this wave 4. And we can definitely argue in quant, this is 1, this is 2, 3, 4, 5, up to about the highest side into this white wave 5 right in here. Now, even on a higher degree, we can have different scenarios. Here's the deal. You might say, well, okay, if I just go on daily time frame, zoom in more in this area, okay, this can be possibly a wave 1, correction for 2, big move up into wave 3, corrective movement for 4, and after it, we are going to have another move up into wave 5. Well, here's the deal. This scenario can definitely be possible, and if you're having it as your own primary case, well, okay, I absolutely respect your opinion, but I'm having a very slight problem with this count. You see, whenever, in terms of Elliott waves, wave 2 is going to be a relatively deep correction, at that point, wave 4 is actually not going to be that deep, and instead, it's just going to take its time. However, in here, we are clearly seeing that wave 2 and 4 at the same time are deep corrective movements. And again, to just prove it to you, let's zoom in more and use Fibonacci's to make my point. There we go. For our wave 2, we retrace to somewhere around the 78% level, which in my books definitely counts as a very deep corrective movement. And also for this currently supposedly wave 4, there we go. So far, we retrace to about the 61.8%, which again, when you talk about a wave 4, can be considered as a relatively deep correction structure. That's why I don't really like this possibility. So what's the alternative in here? I'm gonna argue this is probably much more bullish than we all think. This can be 5 up into 1, correction for wave 2, and soon I'm willing to say we are going to have a huge move up into wave 3, 4, 5, which on a higher degree, it's going to be, you know what, into a larger degree, wave 3, and then 4, and then 5. And by the way, in these moves, I'm fully expecting QNT to set an all-time high and take the highest high somewhere around $450. And every single scenario should have a very important invalidation point. And for me, it's going to be taking the lowest low down here about $55. So as long as we're not taking this low, I'm going to be absolutely bullish in QNT. And I also believe that in here, we are indeed dealing with a corrective movement. And again, in the short term, it's definitely for us possible to get another move down, but chances are that this is going to be our last leg. And after it's over, we're going to get a big move on the upside. So this is the first reason for why am I so bullish in QNT. The second reason comes down to classic TA, meaning support and resistances, and the fact that we are still above this very important support area from weekly and daily time frame at the same time. Now, here's the deal. There is a chance that soon we might get a relatively, I would say, deep move down in order to get a break of this thing, do a pullback and a continuation of the move down in order to take this low. And at that point, we're going to say that the next target is actually all the way down here, about 76 to about $80. And again, this is not going to be a bad sign. We talked about it in the previous video. In fact, right around here is going to be a fantastic long opportunity in QNT because of risk to reward ratios. And I'm not going to talk about it in today's video. If you want to know what is going on, feel free to check out the previous video. We talked about it in extensive details. So this is another reason to be optimistic, and we might very well have maybe a move down in order to even take this low, but then after a bounce back, and at that point this is going to be just a simple fake out. And here is my final reason. Let's go on some higher time frames and see what is going on in indicators, and then go on some lower time frames and see what is happening. Okay, as you can see, in a stock RSI, we are having a sell signal, but it seems like that bears are running out of steam, and soon we might get a buy signal in here. So this can be a potentially bullish sign. And in MACD, we still have this buy signal, which is fantastic. So in weekly time frame, I would say the overall sentiment is bullish. And in daily chart, okay, now this is different. We are having sell signals in MACD and stock RSI at the same time, and they are both confirmed. So this suggests maybe again for the next couple of days, we are going to get another move down. But because we are bullish in MACD in weekly time frame, I'm gonna argue this is going to be just a temporary move. Now let's go on H4 time frame and let's actually delete all the indicators in here. There we go. And see what is going on in RSI. Okay, what do we see in here? First, we are somewhere around the oversold area, which suggests that bears are actually exhausted. Now, here's the key. I think there can be a potentially much more bullish sign in here. Why is that? Let's go around this area and do this. Okay, you see, on the live chart, sometimes you are having a low and the other one is a higher low, something like this. And instead in RSI, you are having a low in here and the other one is a higher low. Now, we know this thing as a bullish divergence. And this is a key. In some cases, we are having somewhere around the bottom a low, the other one is actually a higher low. However, in RSI, you are having a low and the other one is a lower low. Now, we know this thing as, this is a very important point, a hidden bullish divergence. Why is that? Because whenever you are having a higher low on the live chart, this is a sign that suggests maybe we're going to have an uptrend. And at the same time, because in RSI, we got such a deep move down and as we took this low, we can say, well, okay, in this phase, meaning in this corrective movement on the live chart, according to RSI, bears are not really that strong. And we can say because of this, chances are that we are going to get at least another move on the upside. Now let's go on the live chart because I do think that we can have potentially a solid hidden bullish divergence. You see, this is a low. This could be potentially a high low. However, it seems like that in RSI, if this move down is going to continue a bit, we are going to have also another move down in here in order to take this low. At that point, this is going to be a hidden bullish divergence, which is a fantastic sign, suggesting again, bears are just simply not that strong in here. And soon bulls are going to take charge and just send the price higher and higher. And because of these reasons in QNT, if we get another move down, I'm just going to remain absolutely bullish. Once more, let me tell you, if we reach to about these levels, for me at least, it's going to be a great long opportunity in hope that we get the next phase of the bull run. And in it, we take at least the highest side in this area, about $175. But I told you before, I think we're going to go for the first step at least quite a bit higher than that, maybe to somewhere around 190, even $200. So overall, in QNT, I am 1000% bullish. And if we get a move down, that is not going to be a bad sign. And I hope you understood why. So I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in QNT's chart. Anyway, if you found any value in my content, I would really appreciate if you like this video and consider subscribing to my channel and follow me on Twitter. And if you want more, maybe you want a complete analysis for your own specific crypto, or maybe you want to learn some decent TA in order to be able to make good money in the markets, you can become a member and ask me anything you want. And until the next video, I hope you have a wonderful time with your family and loved ones. Goodbye.